What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today is going to be a long one, so kick back, get your popcorn, drink a choice, and settle in for the Darkness Ablaze set review. We're going to be just scrolling down the Poke Beach English set list, since they now have the complete thing on here. And if you watched my previous video, you know we're getting some surprises, like this glove card, which is cool. Before we do get into this set review, where I will be rating all of the cards and talking about how I think they will do in our standard format. Shout out to PotownStore.com, best place to get PTCGO codes. Use code Celio for 5% off. If you're shopping for physical product, either use the affiliate link for TCG Player I have down below, or go to FlipsideGaming.com and use code Celio, all caps, for 10% off. And let's get into this. So I do have this to explain how I will be rating the cards. Just some brief descriptions here. So 1 star is bulk, outclassed by other things. It's unplayable. Poo-poo card, we're throwing it in the pile of bulk and basic energies. Actually, basic energies are better than 1-star cards. Next, we have 2-star cards. They may see some play. They're below average. They're kind of like fringe use. Kind of like a lot of the Vs, most of the VMAXs we've gotten. Or maybe I should say some of the VMAXs we've gotten. But 2-star may see some fringe play. It's not like expected to be in our metagame frequently. 3-star average card. It should see play. Kind of think like Cinderace VMAX or Rillaboom VMAX, like tier 3, fringe of tier 2-ish competition in day 2 events, like that's their viability kind of thing. 4-star, above average card. It will definitely be present in the metagame. It should see success. So 4-star cards are probably going to be in tier 2 archetypes and potentially tier 1 archetypes. They're not going to define the meta, but they're very strong. And then 5-star, one of the best cards in the set, expected to be included in at least one tier 1 archetype and maybe a driving force of the metagame. So for 5-star, think cards like Welder, Zacian V, Boss's Order, ADP, things like that. And now, of course, rating it with a star system or whatever system you want is arbitrary. It's personal to my opinion, but that's why you're here. You're here to hear my opinion, and we're going to have some fun. So if you didn't see my English set list for Darkness Ablaze video, these are the cards that are not going to be in it. Strange Can not going to be in it. This glove card is going to be in it. This is all like a news stuff, art, pre-release promo, things like that. Let's get into the cards. So Butterfree V. Butterfree V is getting the old 1-star for me. Well, Butterfree V and VMAX. They're getting the old 1-star for me. So throw your Butterfree V and VMAX into the bulk pile. Get rid of those if you pull them, I guess. Or maybe, you know, maybe you're a Butterfree collector. But for playability, very bad. It's 300 HP, rewards 3 prizes. So we're starting out with a very low HP VMAX, so it better do something impressive. It's grass type and does 150 to poison and confuse. So basically you're swinging 160 for 3 energy with a 3 prize Pokemon. And you're confusing your opponent, which they can just evolve out of or switch out of. And comparing this to, you know, Eternatus VMAX that can swing 270 for 3. Centiskorch that has an unlimited damage output. Gardevoir in the next set that does more damage and heals itself. It's just, it's not good. So Butterfree VMAX, I'm giving it 1-star bulk. It's just relatively terrible compared to like every other VMAX Pokemon. Maybe, yeah, it's even worse than Meowth probably. Okay, so Paris and Parasect, these are just bulk. Has a swing 30, paralyze if flip, so that's 1-star. Carnivine, return 20 damage and draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. 1-star bulk. And also remember, this is all in terms, or it's relative to standard format. So some of these cards, you know, you might kill at your pre-release with them, or playing for fun on the PTCGO ladder or something like that. But this is all about competitive standard format and how they'll be in the metagame. So Simisage, I'm going to give 2-star. Actually, I'm going to give 2 stars to all of the Simisages just because I think it's cool to have There's a grass, water, and fire. They all do 110 for a triple colorless energy. So like if you're hitting weakness, it will do 220. I'm not sure if being able to just splash a 220 for one energy attacker is honestly relevant anymore, because a lot of the big guys we want to knock out are like 300 plus HP. But I do think it has the attributes of a 2-star card. It's definitely below average, but it's cute enough that it could see fringe play. It might have some utility with the Giga Impacts and having 3 different typings of these things. So all the Semi-Sages will get 2 stars from me. Carablast, just bulk 1 star. Shelmet, bulk 1 star. Excelgor, two colorless energy to do 70 and nothing else, bulk 1 star. Rowlet, so Rowlet evolves into Decidueye. That's actually good, so let's check out what Rowlet does. If you played Birdkeeper from your hand during this turn, ignore all energy in the attack costs of this Pokemon, and for 3 colorless energy, it does 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So on its own, Rowlet, I'll just give it 2 stars. If it didn't evolve into Decidueye, I guess like maybe you could use it sometimes because of this. Like, you play Birdkeeper, switch draw 3 as your supporter for the turn, then you can just swing a free 60 into one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with this little guy. So 2-star card. Dartrix, 1-star bulk, but it does evolve into Decidueye. Now, Decidueye is really interesting. 140 HP, its ability says it cannot be damaged by V or GX Pokemon, and that includes V Max Pokemon. Its attack for grass colorless does 90 and then 20 to 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. No resistance, weak to fire, retreat cost 2. I am somewhere between 3 and 4 stars for this card. So this is actually why I kind of have this guide that I made. So let's just go over to this. A 3-star would call it an average card and it should see play. And a 4-star would be above average card, will definitely be present in the metagame, should see success. I'm not comfortable saying that it should see success, but I'm definitely comfortable saying it should see play. Will it definitely be present in the metagame? It'll probably pop in and out depending on if people are teching against it. So, you know, let's call it a 3.5. We're breaking the system and adding a half a star in there. So Decidueye, 3.5 card. I definitely think it'll see play. Will it see success or a lot of success? I wouldn't be comfortable guaranteeing that, but I do think it'll pop in and out of being played depending on if people are teching for it. Kind of like Galarian Obstagoon has been since Sword and Shield. Bounce Suite, search your deck for a grass energy, attach it. No. Steenie, Captivate, choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. No, nothing of this is worth it on a stage 1, so bulk 1 star. Let's see, Serena. Oh, it evolves from these. Okay, let's see what Serena does. Power Whip for colorless. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 20 damage to that Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon. And Setback Kick 100. Choose an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Return it to their hand. You know, this card actually feels like something that would have been good back in the day. Like, I think this card could have actually been decent back in the day, but Stage 2s have, like, close to no relevance now, and if they do, they have to be, like, really, really good, and specifically good to the meta, kind of like Galarian Obstagoon was, and like Decidueye is, and Serena does not cut it. So, unfortunately for Standard format, it's just 1-star bulk, but in another world, Serena could have been played. So we got Wimpod, non-run switch. So Wimpod's just a 1-star bulk, but it does evolve into Golisopod. And Golisopod, 130 HP, has a 2 colorless energy attack, which could be met by Twin Energy. So for a Twin Energy, potentially 30 plus damage, 30 damage plus 50 for each of your opponent's V and GX Pokemon in play. So if your opponent only has Pokemon V Max, and Pokemon GX in play, that's 6 Pokemon times 50, that's 300, so you swing for 330. Now, this is what I need to say. If your opponent, let's say they're playing Eternatus VMAX, and they have an Eternatus VMAX active, and they have a full bench of 8, and 5 of those 8 Pokemon are GX, or VMAX, you still don't one-shot Eternatus VMAX with this. So that's the problem I have here. Now, I do like formats that are not one-shot centric. But we've been in a one-shot centric format for so long, and even if they are trying to get out of it, it's still going to take a while to get there, and decks are still going to be pushing to try to get the one-shots. That's what, like, one-shots obviously are better than two-shots, but in a format where the game is designed that you can't one-shot reasonably, then a card like this would be really good. So if, let's say, the average Eternatus VMAX deck does have 5 GX VMAX Pokemon on the bench plus their VMAX in the active, which I don't think will be the case. They'll probably keep it to like 3 on the bench and 1 active, maybe even 4 on the bench, 1 active. But if they're playing against something like Golisopod, or you won game 1, they know you're playing Golisopod, they could just limit their bench. So you could play Vitality Band, Zigzagoons, things like that, to do more damage, but Golisopod doesn't feel like it could be a main attacker because your opponent can play around it, or your opponent could just not have a lot of V or GX Pokemon in their deck. They could be playing Spiritomb or Galarian Obstagoon or Decidueye. So I don't think Golisopod is insane right now. Maybe it could be in the future. I'm going to give it just 2 stars. So if we just refer back to this, 2 stars would mean it may see some play below average, and that's really all I can give this card. I do think I do like attacks like this, like in the past, like a nice double colorless attachment or twin energy attachment or TCE attachment, and you do a solid chunk of damage, but because your opponent can play around it, I don't think it's great. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on it because of the play around ability of it. But I think 2 stars is appropriate. Maybe I should push it to 3, but I think we'll stick with my 2. That was what my gut was saying, so we'll stick it to 2. Next, we've got Charizard V and Charizard V Max. We'll just, let's see, is the V any good on its own? It does 220 for 4 energy. Reshizard does 230 for 4 energy, so we'll give Charizard V a 2 star. But let's look at Charizard V Max. So Charizard V Max, 330 HP. It's on the bulkier side of V Max Pokemon. Fire type, weak to water. Water's not very relevant at the moment. 3 retreat cost, so you can't use buff padding with it. Has the first attack 100 for 3 energy, and then it has G-Max Wildfire, 300 damage, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Again, this Pokemon's biggest attack is not one-shotting other VMAXs. It's one-shotting the weaker VMAXs that nobody is playing, like Morpeko and Butterfree and maybe Meowth. I think Meowth might be 300 HP, but it doesn't one-shot important VMAXs like itself, potentially, or Centiskorch, or Gardevoir when that comes out, or Eternatus VMAX, and Teleon VMAX, if that ends up being good, Dragapult, if that sticks around. So, it doesn't one-shot things on its own. It could be helped by Vitality Band and Zigzagoon, Scoop Up Net, things like that, but it already needs 5 energy to attack, so that means you need like 2 consecutive turns of Welder, or you start off with a Volcanion, then hit Welder in one of your other turns, something like that. Hit a bunch of Turbo Patches on your Charizard V in turns 1 and 2, and then you're swinging for 300. So swinging 300 is good, but swinging for 300 when it needs 5 energy to do so, 3 of those are fire. You have to discard 2 energy after doing it, so you have to reapply energy to this Pokemon. So what I'm thinking is you turn 2 optimally. You get your 5 energy, you swing 300, you don't knock out a VMAX. Maybe you knock out a V that was left active. You discard 2 energy, they swing a decent chunk of damage into you. You have to reapply energy to it, so you need to Welder again onto this Pokemon to swing for 300 again, not one-shotting a VMAX Pokemon. Then they knock you out, and then you just spent the last 3 turns attaching energy and weldering to this one VMAX that got knocked out, probably by something with only 2 energy on it, like an Eternatus VMAX. And now you're kind of like trying to scramble together a backup attacker like a Heatran GX or a Victini V or something like that. So I think Charizard VMAX is somewhere between a 2 and 3 star range. I'd rather undersell it than oversell it. So I'm just going to give it a 2 star. Below average may see some play. Next we have Houndoom V. 210 HP, Fire type V Pokemon, weak to water, 1 retreat cost. and it has Searing Flame, 20 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burnt. And it has Vengeful Flame, Fire colorless, 100 plus damage. If your benched fire Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 100 more. So if you have one fire Pokemon with damage on it, you're doing 200 for 3. That is not special at all by any means by today's standards. If this was 2 fire energy for 100, or maybe like 2 fire energy for even less, let's make it like 2 fire energy for 70, but then if you have that damage counter, it does 200. For 2 energy, this could actually be a really good card, but for 3 energy, it's like barely playable in my opinion. So I'm going to give it 2 stars just because it's not complete bulk, but there's just so many cards that are better than it in my opinion. Torchic, Combuskin, Blaziken. So this Blaziken's cool. Another card that, you know, in a vacuum looks like it should be a decent stage 2, but our game has just been so power crept that it's not really. So Blaziken, 170 HP, fire type stage 2. The ability double type this Pokemon is both fire and fighting type, so I love that. I love these kinds of cards. And then Turbo Drive, 130 damage for 3 energy. Attach a basic energy card from one of your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon from one of your discard piles. So basic energy from discard to one of your bench. So let's talk about some of the problems with this. It can be either fire or it's fire and fighting at the same time. So for swinging for 130, it would knock out something like a Lucario Melmetal if it doesn't have any damage reductions, which they usually would. It uses Full Metal Wall, or it has a Big Charm, or it has a Metal Goggle, something like that. So you're barely knocking out something like that that's weak to you, and the reason to play something with double typing is to try to hit relevant weaknesses in the meta. Swinging into Eternatus VMAX, you're doing 260. So yes, you are a single prize Pokemon, so it's fair that you're not just easily one-shotting a multiple prize Pokemon, but you are a stage 2, and setting up a stage 2 is more of a liability sometimes than setting up a multiple prize Pokemon and leaving it there, because with a multiple prize Pokemon, they have higher HP and you could just heal them and tank with them and switch out to a different Pokemon, make your opponent gust for them. Stage 2 Pokemon, they just go down in one hit a lot of the times, because 160 to 200 HP just isn't a lot anymore. I mean, it can be like a decent chunk, like the higher HP stage 2s that go up to like the 190-ish range, I believe some of them do. Maybe 180, maybe I'm over remembering some of the HPs, but some of them can tank a little bit of a hit, but it's just they're so overpowered by the VMAXs, it's crazy. So Blaziken, I think I have to just give it 1 star, because by my standards, 2, it may see some play below average. If you ask me if Blaziken's going to see competitive play in the next year, I'd say no way is this going to see competitive play in the next year. So just 1 star, unfortunately, for Blaziken, although I do like the flavor, I do like the card design. Heatran, 130 HP, swings 30 and burn for 2 energy, 80 for 3 energy plus 10 for every damage counter on it. So let's say you got it up to a max of 120 damage, you could do 200 for 3. If you have Toughness Cloak, you could do 240 for 3, but that's a lot of setup for this guy, and you're doing 240 at your optimal state, and it would take a hell of a lot to get there, so this is 1 star bulk. Pansear, Simisear, this is all the Simis, basically what I was talking about earlier, the triple colorless energy, swing 110. For a triple colorless energy, I think they're all worth saying they're 2 star. They may see some play, but they're below average. Fire type Galarian Darmanitan, headbutt 40 damage. Frozen Heat does okay, so it's a fire type Pokemon that has water energy costs. I like it when they do this kind of thing. So potentially for discarding 2 to 3 energy on this Pokemon, it does 170. I guess it's fine because you would only use it to tech into a water deck that you want to one-shot fire things in, but water is not good at all. And even if it is, I think it could potentially be something like Lapras, where you're one-shotting things regardless of what they're weak to. Or it could be something like Inteleon VMAX, where you're playing the War of Attrition, just doing snipe damage and chipping away and removing energy, so you wouldn't care about one-shotting with something like this. So, 1-star Galarian Darmanitan. Larvesta Volcarona, Scorch Wounds for your opponent's active Pokemon. Has no damage counters on it. This attack does nothing. Okay, so this is 1-star bulk. Your best payoff is your opponent has damage counters on it already, so you swing in 80 for 1 energy. That's not good at all on a stage 1. Maybe if this was a basic Pokemon, that could be a decent like turn 1 attacker or late game cleanup. But because like you could go Zigzagoon swing. But yeah, 1-star bulk. Fletchinder, stage 1, and Talonflame. Let's look at Talonflame. If this Pokemon's in the active spot and is damaged, even if it's knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now burnt. And the Mach Flight does 120. The defending Pokemon can't retreat next turn. This is bulk. Bulk, 1-star bulk, 0-star bulk, just bad. Centiskorch V and VMAX. Centiskorch V, 210 HP. V basic Pokemon, weak to water, resistant none, retreat 3. First attack, I actually really love this first attack. Radiating Heat does 20 for fire energy, and you may discard an energy from this Pokemon, and then discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Love that attack. Burning Train really shouldn't be relevant unless you're just like cleaning up and happen to not be able to evolve into a Centiskorch VMAX. So Centiskorch V, would it see play without Centiskorch VMAX? Probably not. I'll give it just a 2-star on its own. Let's go to Centiskorch VMAX. 320 HP. It has the Gmax Centiferno for 2 energy. It does 40 damage plus. This attack does 40 more damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. You may attach a fire energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon after calculating damage for this attack. And of course it is a VMAX, so it's worth 3 prize cards. So this is one of the decks I've already been testing with. It's one of the VMAX cards from the set that I think will be most impactful on the standard format and will see a lot of success. I will say that most of this is in context of post-rotation standard, but if you did watch my video yesterday with the POG 2020 tournament announcement, they're doing pre-rotation with Darkness Ablaze, so it's Ultra Prism on. I do think Centiskorch VMAX is a little weaker in Ultra Prism on, since there's more viable archetypes and Mill and Control are stronger, but I think Centiskorch VMAX is very, very good in post-rotation standard with Darkness Ablaze. I've talked about this card several times already on the channel, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'm kind of back and forth between 4 and 5 cards, because I do think it will definitely be present in the metagame. I do think it should see success. I don't think it will be a driving force of the metagame, though. I don't think it has, like, kind of, best deck in format potential. I could be wrong about that, though. I wouldn't blame anybody for giving this 5 stars, but I tend to be very hard on cards. I tend to give it a lower star than a higher star if I'm between the two. I think I'll give it 4 just because it's also good because of a lot of the cards surrounding it, like Welder. This card wouldn't be nearly as good without Welder, or without Big Charm, or Hyper Potion, or Malolana. Giant Hearth, you see where I'm going. It's or also Volcanion from Unbroken Bonds. It's supported by a lot of good fire stuff that help it reach its potential. But in a vacuum, I think the card is probably 4 stars on its own. But I do think we'll be seeing it have a lot of play in the meta. I just don't know if it's going to be a driving force of the metagame. So I think we'll give it 4 stars, but I wouldn't disagree with 4 or 5. I think either is a fine rating for the card, at least by the guidelines that I'm rating the cards for, or by. So next we have Galarian Mr. Mime and Galarian Mr. Rhyme. Galarian Mr. M has this Shuffle Dance ability. Choose one of your opponent's face-down prize cards and switch it with the top card from their deck. It's just pointless. And then Mad Party, 20 damage times for each Pokemon in your discard pile that has the Mad Party attack. This card is as good as Mad Party is, and I don't think Mad Party is good, but I do think it will see some rogue play, probably no success. So I'll give Mad Party cards in general just 2 stars across the board because they're below average. They're not complete bulk. They do have a theme there. They have a mechanic that they're kind of working with, the Mad Party thing, but I don't think they're very good. I'll give this just 2 stars. Suicune complete binder bulk, not even binder, it's just bulk. Sorry, leave the binder out of it. It's a hollow rare, maybe binder. It's just bulk. It does 130, return 2 energy from it to your hand. Just not even a card. Phoebus Milotic, Bright Heal, heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon once a turn. It's interesting. Attack is irrelevant. You would just use it for its ability that heals 20 a turn. It's from each of your Pokemon, and DD is only from your active, and DD is also a V Pokemon. I'll give Milotic 2 stars. Below average, might see some fringe play. Relicanth, search your deck for up to 2 fossil cards and put them onto your bench. I'm just going to give this a 2 star for kind of future-proofing it. I don't think the fossils we have so far, I don't think they're good enough to warrant playing this yet. They kind of really underpowered the fossils. Like, I thought Dracovish could have been so much better. I don't think it would have been toxic for the game if they made its ability on the bench, not just active, but we'll get to that soon, I think. But yeah, I'll give this 2 stars. I think it could have some potential eventually, just because it searches for 2 fossils and puts them to the bench, not to the hand. Panpour, Simipour, like I said, the Simmies are just getting 2 stars for me because they swing 110 for Assorted of Weaknesses with a TCE. Galarian Darmanitan, this is a reprint in theme deck. I'm not going to talk about that. Vanillite, Vanillix. Vanillix ability, stage 2, 150. The ability once during your turn, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. This is... So if you're going to play a stage 2, it better be doing something better than that. I mean, if this was on the bench, then it could be used in like stall and control and stuff, but stall and control is already getting so many nerfs in rotation that I don't think you can use this. And yeah, I think you just like go the Dustox route if you want to do things like this. Like Dustox Cryogonal is probably just better, and you have to flip. Flipping is never good. Cubchoo Beartic, 1 star. Oh, sorry, if I said some of these were like 1 star, skipping them, just get that. If I said they're bulk or skipping them and stuff like that, it means 1 star. Sorry, I think I forgot to mention stars for a couple of them, but yeah, those are all 1 star. Cubchoo Beartic, 1 star, just terrible. Wishy-washy Deep Sea Swirl, shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 8 cards. If this was like, I don't know, 2003, that sounds great. When you know, you could have set up Pokemon, but yeah, this is terrible by today's standards. You don't just you don't put a Pokemon in your 60 card deck with the plan of, oh, I might need to, you know, take a turn off, shuffle, draw 8 with a 30 HP Pokemon active that needs an energy attachment. You don't use a card slot in your deck for that, and you're never like planning for that suboptimal situation, really. With a card like Drampa GX, where it was a busted card and it had a 3rd attack that was also like a dead draw proof shuffle draw 10, that was amazing, but this card has nothing to offer. Marini Toxapex, oh, sorry, yeah, so Wishy-Washy 1 star. Marini Toxapex, discard an energy from this Pokemon. If you do, heal all damage from this Pokemon. Love the flavor. What I don't love, it's 130. What am I healing from this thing? Like, discard an energy, heal? Okay, maybe if it was, like, insane with, like, 350 HP, nothing can knock it out. We're tanking this game. But, boy, this is, like, absolutely useless. Dracovish, this was what I was referencing about with the fossils earlier. So 150 HP, stage 1 evolves from rare fossil. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their Pokemon. I said Pokemon a lot. Yeah, so if it's active, your opponent can't play evolution Pokemon from their hand to their Pokemon. This isn't good. If this Pokemon is on your bench, then it would be very good. Then I would say, oh right, let's play this Pokemon. I mean, the problem there is people already want to play big basics, but big basics are kind of turning into big stage 1 VMAXs now, so I do think this would be played if this Pokemon is in play, or it just said your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their Pokemon. But since while it's active and its attack is garbage, this gets 1 star from me. Arctovich. So the other water fossil thing that looks real goofy, don't even know where its mouth is. Like, is that its mouth? Is it like a fishy design on its face? I don't know. Stage 1, and it has pretty useless stuff. It has watercolorless, colorless to do 90, and this Pokemon takes 60 less damage next turn. And then for 4 energy, it does Cold Breath 130. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. We're giving this a 1 star. Like, the 1 stars kind of vary. Like, this is so close to being good, but I'm giving it a 1 star because it won't see play. And then this is just so bad, and it's also a 1 star. So, sorry that Dracovish and Arctovish even have to share a star tier. Let's see. Mareep, Flaffy, Ampharos. Static Shock on both of these Pokemon. Very original. Dazzle Blast 50 in Confusion, and 2 Lightning to do 130 on a stage 2 with 150 damage. Absolutely terrible. 1 star to all of them. Electric, Manectric. Strafe 30 Switch. Flash Impact 150 does 30 to one of your benched Pokemon. So we're swinging 150 for 3 and doing 30 to one of our own benched Pokemon. Yeah, 150 for 3 is terrible. I'm trying to think, would I play this if it was 150 for 2? If it was 150 for 2, then you could set up 2 of them with Tapu Koko. You could use Turbo Patch, like just swing 150 every turn with single price Pokemon. Like, even if it was 2 energy, it would be pretty bad. 1 star for Manectric. Vikavolt V, 210 HP basic Pokemon. It has the Paralyzing Bolt. Lightning colorless, 50 damage during your opponent's next turn. Your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand. And then Super Zap Cannon, 190 damage for 3 energy. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. We're slapping Vikavolt V with the 5 stars of honor because it has item lock. 2 energy to do 50 item lock with the lightning type energy that it needs. That means you can use Tapu Koko Prism to power this up. It's also a V, so you can, it's a V and it's basic, because all Vs are basic, so you can just use Turbo Patch as well to power it up. So turn 1 item lock on a Pokemon that can also take advantage of Toughness Cloak to have 50 plus HP, so it could be 260 HP. Item lock 50 every turn. It could take advantage of Tapu Koko Prism and Speed Lightning Energy because it's lightning, so 5 stars for Vikavolt V. And in pre-rotation, absolutely bonkers. Like, throw it an extra star, because in pre-rotation it has the just grab Guzmahala for Speed Lightning Energy, Thunder Mountain, then Toughness Cloak or Giant Bomb or Counter Gain, and you're set. So pre-rotation, absolutely bonkers. Post-rotation, 5 stars. It'll probably have a play in how the metagame progresses. Tapu Koko, bad 1-star card. It can draw 2 cards or can do 110 for 3 energy. Toxtricity. So Toxtricity is interesting. I'm going to give it 2 stars because I think it's a super fringy thing that can catch people off guard. I don't think it's a consistent enough strategy, but let's take a gander. So Toxtricity stage 1 Pokemon. It has the Risk Taker attack, and that's the only one here that matters. For Twin Energy or TCE or just 2 energy of any type. Flip a coin. If heads, discard 5 cards from your opponent's deck. If tails, discard 5 cards from your deck. This can be paired with the Glimmering Forest or whatever it's called stadium that we'll get to a little bit down the page. and it lets you reflip a coin. So basically you have a 75% chance of milling 5 from your opponent, a 25% chance of milling 5 from yourself. You compare this with Trick Shovel. When they smack it, they mill another 3 cards from their deck, and Belelba Bryceman Surge combo, you know the deal. Mill does lose my Cargo GX, which is rough. Mill loses Guru to get back its own resources. That being said, I do think this could be a rogue concept that sometimes does okay. If not, it's at least going to be like a fun deck, or not fun for your opponent deck, that you'll see on the PTCGO ladder. So I'll give Toxtricity here 2 stars, and it's also a very cool Pokemon. Pincurchin, with that C in the Kirchin part. I always thought it was Pinurchin, but it is Pincurchin. Now that I've said that Pokemon enough times that it's not starting to sound like a word to me. Double draw, draws 2 cards, and Zing Zap does 50 flip for paralysis for 3 energy on an 80 HP Pokemon. This is bad. 1 star, sorry, Pincurchin. Next we have another fossil, Dracozolt. Very cool looking Pokemon. Let's see what it does. Rising Charge, 30 damage during your during your next turn. This Pokemon's Rising Charge attack does 90 more damage, so you swing 30 with a stage 1 as early as turn 2, and then boy howdy, we're swinging 120 next turn, and in post-rotation there are no Electropowers. That attack's terrible. Next is Giga Impact for 200, so this interests me. I do think swinging 200 with a single prize Pokemon that can just use any energy attachment and then triple colorless energy is interesting. So you could potentially just set it up out of nowhere. You can go Cocoa Prism TCE, you could go Turbo Patch TCE, but that also means that you're playing a deck with TCE in it and other evolutions, so how good is it really? This isn't complete bulk. I'm going to call it 2 stars. It's probably on the lower end of 2 stars, though. And then we have Arctozolt. I love this card. Love it. Because I was obsessed with an Ampharos that did something like it back in Secret Wonders. I think I had a spread deck with Ampharos, Cresselia level X. It was great. Arctozolt stage 1 also evolves from Fossil. Actually, hang on. Yeah, so there's just a typo here. It says basic Pokemon under Dracozolt, but it should say stage 1 evolves from Fossil. So Arctozolt, the other lightning fossil dude. So ability, Numbing Vortex. Whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So ideal situation, dream setup. You got 4 of these Arctozolts on your bench. Every time your opponent attaches an energy, boom, 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. They played Welder, boom, 4 damage counters on that Pokemon for each Arctozolt. So that would be, if you had 4 of these babies on the bench, 8 damage counters for attaching an energy, 16 damage counters for weldering to it. Now, is that going to happen? Probably never. That would mean that you have to have all 4 of your rare fossil in the deck, all 4 Arctozolt in the deck, and you search them all out. But maybe you have 1 Arctozolt on the bench, maybe 2. You could even use this in a deck for, if you're finding that you're missing knockouts by 20 damage a lot, and you don't have any other good options to use in that specific deck for those situations. Maybe Arctozolt would be good to throw in if you, think throwing in a 2-1 or a 2-2 line, you might be able to search out rare fossils. Maybe you're playing Jirachi. So I could see this seeing some fringe play. I think it's awesome. It might be one of my favorite cards out of the whole set. So I'm going to give it 2 stars. It's a below average card by today's standards, unfortunately, but I think it's really awesome, and I do hope it sees play. Next we have Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff. And Wigglytuff flips 2 coins to do 90 damage for each heads. Not good. In a perfect world, you would use things like the Forest Stadium and Will, maybe. Or, no, wait, Will only works for trainers. Whatever. No, Will does not only work for trainers. Don't listen to me. Will works for attacks as well. But you're not going to dedicate a deck to doing 180 with Wigglytuff for a TCE, so 1-star bulk, we're skipping that. Mew V. I didn't realize Mew was going to be in this set, and now I do realize that. So Mew V is in this set. 180 HP, and it has X-Ball. I thought it was called P-Ball, but that's because of the P's for the Psychic, so X-Ball. 30 damage times. This attack does 30 damage times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon and your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's literally just X-Ball as we've always known it for 2 Psychic Energy. I feel like this is run-of-the-mill average card. Like, this is right down the middle, give it a 3-star. So yeah, we're giving it a 3-star. It's like really, really painfully decent. That's it. Could be very good versus Scentiscorch of VMAX if they're piling up a bunch of energy. Snubble Granbull, Jawlock 50, the defending Pokemon can't retreat, and then Head Bounce 30, these get 1 star each. Lunatone, Future Sight, look at the top 4 of either player's deck, bad. Psychic 20 plus for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Yeah, this is 1 star. It's close to being good, but there's not enough decks that are piling energy that you're going to play this, and then even if you do play against a deck that's piling energy, they're not putting enough for you to one-shot a VMAX, or like almost one-shot a VMAX, so 1 star. The Gothitelle line, let's see. Well, Gothorita has Whiny Voice. Choose a random card from your opponent's hand, reveal it, shuffle it into the deck. Interesting. Give it I guess I'll give Gothorita a 2-star for having that kind of attack. Could see some crazy interaction somewhere. Gothitelle, stage 2, Psychic 140, Psycho Trip, 40 damage for Psychic and active Pokemon confused, bad. Distort, 90 damage, choose 2 random cards from your opponent's hand, reveal that. Oh wait, Whiny Voice is a random card? Never mind. Gothorita gets 1 star. Gothitelle gets 1 star as well. This isn't gonna see play. Distort, why did they do Distort like that? Distort is supposed to item lock, isn't it? Golurk Hammer. For Psychic and 4 colorless energy, you can do 180 when Arctozolt is doing 200 for 3 or 200 for 4. So yeah, 1 star, 1 star. Dedenne has Mad Party. I'll just give it 2 star because Mad Party is going to see Rogue play even if it's not good. Moralo and Shinotic. Fear of the Forest. If Glimwood Tangle, that's the card I've been talking about. If I said anything about like a Flippy Forest Stadium at any point in this video, I was referencing Glimwood Tangle because I am a professional YouTuber and I know every name of every card that has ever been created in every card game. Psychic Colorless, Fear the Forest, 60 plus 60 if Glimwood's in play, so you can do 120 with this Pokemon that's not good. Or you can do Flickering Flight, 30 damage, flip a coin if heads, the defending Pokemon can't attack, and they have to use Switch In and Retreat to attack. So, yeah, bad card. Moralo doesn't do anything important, right? Nope. Okay, yeah, 1 star, 1 star. Mimikyu, ability heal, stop your opponent's bench Pokemon can't be healed. It's cool. I like it. Definitely not 1 star, but is it 3? Is it 3? You know what? I don't think it'll usually be good enough to see play. I think it'll usually be taken out for other things, but people would want to play it. So, yeah, it stops Malolana, basically. I'm going to give it 2 star. I don't think it will actually see play, but it'll be like that card that you have next to your deck because you wanted to try to fit it in there to do better versus big tanky decks that are healing, but you just don't want to find the spot. And then you try it in your deck, and then you get it as your only starting Pokemon, and you're playing against a deck that doesn't even try to heal their Pokemon, and you're stuck with this Mimikyu. You know where I'm rambling. I'll give it 2 stars, but I think it's more of like a pity 2 star because I like the card. Sinistea, put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon, 1 star. Poltegeist. Poltegeist, I'll actually give this one 3 stars. The other T Pokemon get, or the other T, the Mad Parties, whatever they are. I'll give this one 3 stars. So it has trade basically. But you have to discard a Pokemon that has the Mad Party attack. So it helps you get Mad Party Pokemon into your discard pile, and it also attacks for just a twin energy, and you get to draw with it. So I'll give it. Am I giving this thing 3 stars? Average card should see play. No, actually, it's depending on what I mean by should. Like, should it see play? Like, am I suggesting this card sees play? No, I'm not suggesting it sees play at this moment. But Do I expect it to see play? Yes. I'll give it 3 stars. It's the better Mad Party card. 2.53. I like that it has trade, but you have to discard a Mad Party Pokemon. I think it's good enough for 3. We'll give it 3 stars. I act like I'm sending these stars to the government. Like the world depends on what stars I give these cards. Diglett Doug Trio, bad, 1 star, 1 star. Larvitar, Pupitar, Tyranitar. Tyranitar does 250 for 4 energy, but then you discard 5 cards from the top of your deck, and then it gets 1 shot because it's a 180 HP Pokemon, and those things don't last too long anymore, so 1 star all around. Trapinch, Vibrava, Flygon. Flygon, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat. This should just be if your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat. Get rid of the if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon. They need to stop being so, like, they need to just push. They need to just take evolutions and push them past their limits. Like, if they think, like, this stage 2 Pokemon, it might be too good if we give it this. Do it. Send that. Print the card. Like, stage 2 Pokemon and even stage 1 non-VMAXs to an extent need a push. Flygon probably still wouldn't have been played even if it said your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat. Even if you take out this Pokemon as your active Pokemon, it still probably wouldn't be played, and that's what the design team needs to get through their heads. Then Desert Geyser, 130 damage. If your opponent has a stadium card in play, discard it. If you do, during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage and effects done to this Pokemon by the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon. Here's another thing, like, Desert Geyser, even if it said if there is a stadium card in play, it doesn't have to be your opponent's. If there is a stadium card in play, discard it, then prevent all damage and effects done to this Pokemon by the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon. Like, I guess I could see where that could be really powerful, but at a certain point you would run out of stadiums. And, like, even if, like, let's say people were concerned about this being a lock deck, like Lone Flygon in the active, every turn you play down a stadium, discard it, prevent all damage. Let's see, 1, you're only doing 130 damage, so it's going to take a while. 2, you have to have an infinite amount of stadiums, or at least, like, 1 for every turn you have to attack and wall, so that's going to be a lot. 3, you have to set up your stage 2 Pokemon and potentially multiple of them to get through the setup phase. 4, it needs 3 energy to attack, and your opponent can just, like, disrupt that energy, stamp you, Marnie you. You don't draw into your energy you need, plus the stadium, plus maybe another Pokemon in case you need it if they have things that can swing through effects. So what I'm getting at is Flygon is a 1-star Pokemon, but if they just sent it and gave these Pokemon the power that they're so close to giving them, it might actually be playable. But Flygon gets a 1-star from me. Just too many things holding it back. Solrock, Hippopotas, Hippowdon, we're just 1-starring all of these. Rhyperior V, Drill Run, 230 HP is bulky. Drill Run, 80 damage, discard energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. I like that. And then Heavy Rock Artillery, 210 damage during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Heavy Rock Artillery. So, I like Drill Run. What's upsetting is this Pokemon has too low of HP for it to work. Because Drill Run could be, like, this Pokemon could be really good versus Eternatus, let's say. Like, you swing 160, discard an energy, then you make them recommit an energy. Like, next turn they have to use their energy attachment to their active that's going to get knocked out next turn, but they're knocking out your Rhyperior with 3 energy on it because it's only 230 HP. I hate that I have to say only 230 HP. I mean, you could just use Toughness Cloak on it, I guess, to have 280, and then they need a Zigzagoon pop plus a whole bench, so maybe that could be okay. And then Heavy Rock Artillery, 210 during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Heavy Rock Artillery, but if you're countering Eternatus with a basic fighting Pokemon, you're probably choosing something that can actually one-shot it. So as much as I love the, like, tank and discard energy kind of thing, I'm going to give Rhyperior V a 1-star. It might be a Pokemon that, like, I try to make work on PTCGO or something, but I don't expect it to see play, unfortunately. So 1 star for Rhyperior V. Diggers B, 1 star, just bad bulk. Passimian, search your deck for 2 Pokemon, call for family. 70 damage for 3 energy, bad bulk. Surfetched reprint. Galarian Slowbro, once during your turn, if this is your active Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. And then it does 130. Your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat next turn. Has 3 retreat costs, so you can't use Air Balloon. If you could use Air Balloon, this card would be good. This would be actually, I would give it 3 stars right now if you could use Air Balloon with it. But the thing is, you have to use Dark Hide energy to give it free retreat, and that's an energy attachment, and it's an energy that can be removed. So I'm going to give Galarian Slowbro V 2 stars. It's definitely not bulk, because being able to just once a turn poison is super nice on a basic Pokemon. But if it was 2 retreat cost, instantly bump it up to a 3-star Pokemon. It's just 2 retreat costs, so we're going to leave it at 2 stars. Triple poison. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 3 damage counters instead of 1. That's crazy. You could just use Galarian Weezing and do the same thing, except also ability lock your opponent. This is like negative 1-star Pokemon. Absolute garbage. I hate when they do that, when they just give a Pokemon something that's obviously worse than another Pokemon. This will never be played, never considered, because you always pick Weezing over it. Spinarak Ariados. When you play this Pokemon to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's evolution Pokemon with their active Pokemon. Absolute bad, 1 star. It seems good at a glance, but this will never actually be played, 1-star Pokemon. Crobat V, 5 stars. It's just setup. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. You can't use more than 1 a turn. They balanced it. It draws you cards. It can be searched out with peers. It goes well with the turn. It has VMAX. 5 star, 5 star, 5 star all day. Darkrai. If this Pokemon has a dark energy attached to it, it takes 20 less damage from attacks. Well, yippee, it has 120 HP, so now they have to do 140 to knock us out. And Dark Spiral, 60 plus for every dark energy attached to this Pokemon. I mean, the theme with this is you use the new Hydreigon, you attach a bunch of energy, you have 5 energy attached, and you do 160, and then they just one-shot it, and all of your energy's gone. 1-star card. Sorry, Darkrai. So close to being good. Like, they could bump this up to, like, I don't know, more HP, but then you have big basics, or things could just not do as much damage as they do, and then this would be a good card. It's just a lot of, like, power creep that happened, and we're at a spot where we just need to reset the game. But we're doing a set review, not ranting about the power creep. 1 stars, 1 stars. This Pokemon can't be paralyzed? Well, throw 4 of that into my deck. 1 star. 1 star, 1 star. Dark Squall, as often as you like during your turn, you may attach a dark energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. 2 stars, because it's a stage 2. Stage 2s just don't work today. But the ability is very strong. So 2 stars, if you can make it work, it'll see a little bit of play, but it's always going to be inconsistent compared to other decks since it is a stage 2 Pokemon. Hoopa. Assault Gate, Dark, 90 damage if this Pokemon wasn't moved from your bench to the active spot during your turn. This attack does nothing. This attack isn't affected by weakness. This is a solid card. It will be used. I'm giving it 3 stars. It's average. Maybe, like, I feel like maybe a year ago, this would have been, like, above average. Like, 90 would have actually been a pretty decent chunk, but, like, by now, it's like, this is average. Like, you could even buff it up a little bit, and it wouldn't be too powerful. Let's see. Nickit and Thievel. Nasty Plot, search your deck for 2 cards. You're never gonna evolve up to a stage 1 to do that. 1 stars. Grimmsnarl V. 220 HP, Spiky Knuckle, Dark, 200 damage, and put 2 dark energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. So you swing 200 and you get some energy back. I mean, that could be okay if you're, like, doing the whole Hydreigon thing, and you're like, well, maybe this is getting knocked out, I want to get my energy back. So I actually kind of like that. We'll give this a 2 star. And then Grimmsnarl VMAX, HP 330, kind of bulky. Awesome looking card. Love Grimmsnarl. Big fan, Mr. Grimm. Dark for G-Max Drill. 170 plus. This attack does 50 more for each extra dark energy. Not used to pay for this attack. energy beyond the second doesn't count, so that means you can max it out at 270 for 5 dark energy. Funny enough, Eternatus VMAX is doing 270 for 2 dark energy, not 5. So Grimmsnarl's weak to grass instead of fighting, which I guess is okay. But, oh god, I want to give it 1 star and then drop Grimmsnarl V down to 1 star now that I found out the Grimmsnarl VMAX is so bad. I read these cards a while ago, but I forgot how terrible it was and how it's just like a worse version of Eternatus VMAX, because you don't even... Like with Eternatus VMAX, you get a full bench, you get to drop Zigzagoons and Crobats and swing for just 2 energy. This is terrible. Yeah, we're giving both of these 1 star. Wow. Wow. So bad. I hate the disparity between the cards, even between VMAX to VMAX, V to V. Like, real bad. So Eternatus V, 30 damage and attach an energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. Really good first attack. Dynamax Cannon for 4 energy does 120 more, so it does 240 for 4 energy to a VMAX Pokemon. That's great. So, yeah, this gets... I guess this gets 3 stars. Just the V gets 3 stars, probably, because it has 2 really solid attacks and fairly high HP. And then Eternatus VMAX, going to be a 5-star card. It's the card of the set. It's the card that will make the set sell, other than Charizard VMAX, because collectors will want Charizard VMAX. But yeah, 340 HP, very high. The ability lets you have 8 Pokemon on your bench. If they're Dark-type, you can't put non-Dark-type on your bench. If at any time your Pokemon are not Dark-type, then you go back to 5. If the ability stops working, you go back to 5. Dread End for Dark Colorless does 30 for every Dark Pokemon you have in play. So if you have a full bench, you're swinging for 270 for 2 energy. Very, very strong Pokemon. I like that it can't one-shot itself without a lot of buffs. It's not one-shotting other VMAX Pokemon without a lot of buffs, but it is one-shotting most tag teams. It's one-shotting every GX that's not a tag team. It's one-shotting every V, I believe, unless Wailord V is coming out in this set, because I think Wailord V is kind of chunky. But yeah, 5 stars Eternatus VMAX will definitely see play, will be tier 1. Even if it was not tier 1 by success, it will still be played to heck and would be tier 1 of, like, in popularity wise. Scizor V and Skizor VMAX. So Scizor V, 30, discard a Pokemon tool on a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. I actually really like that first attack, and I'll give it 2 stars just for the first attack. And then Scizor VMAX, 320 HP, evolves from Scizor V, obviously. For 2 energy, swing 90, and then this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. So if you're using this with Lucario Melmetal, if you're using this with exactly Lucario Melmetal GX, and you're also using Metal Goggles to reduce 30 damage incoming, you could swing 90 and then reduce 90 damage from the next attack, then heal and do it all over again. So I think it's cool, probably not great, just getting 2 stars, but I like that. I usually tend to like Scizor cards because of, they do like the swing for a moderate amount of damage and then reduce the incoming damage next turn. Skarmory Metal Arms, 10 plus, 40 more if the defending has a Pokemon tool. Not good. You would just use Scizor V to do 30 and hack off the tool instead. Aron, Laron, Aggron. Aggron, if this Pokemon has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an attack, it's not knocked out and remaining HP becomes 10, and it does Giga Stomp for 160. So see this ability, Sturdy? Basically, you need to give this to every Stage 2 Pokemon and then not give it bad attacks. Because Gigaton Stomp 160 like is not very good for 4 energy on a Stage 2 Pokemon. But Sturdy is a nice ability to have when you have to build up a Stage 2 Pokemon, and then it only has 160 HP compared to all the other monsters in the metagame that are, available in the format. So if Sturdy was on, like, more evolution Pokemon, or even, like, more of the weaker Vs, or if there was, like, a Focus Sash tool you could put on, like, evolution Pokemon, that would be awesome. But Sturdy on a Pokemon that belongs as, like, a bulk rare in a theme deck isn't going to do anything. It's a 1-star card. Ex-Cavalier, 10 plus damage, flip 3 coins. If all 3 heads, it does 150 damage for a metal energy. Not worth it. 1 star. Clink, Clank, and Kling Clang. 200 damage. If there are no Clink or Clang on your bench, it does nothing. This is terrible. 1 star all around. The Galarian Stunfisk V. This Pokemon gets plus 20 HP for each metal energy attached, and then Trapping Bite 60 during your opponent's next turn if this Pokemon is damaged by an attack. Put 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. This is interesting. So we have 2 metal energy on it. It has 240 HP. Let's say you also slapped a Toughness Cloak, so it has 290 HP. You swing for 60, and if they damage it next turn, they take 12 damage counters. I actually really love this card. It has 4 retreat. Weak to fire, resistant to grass. I like this card. I like the flavor it has. Probably a 2-star card. I don't think I could push it up to average and say that it'll, like, it's likely to see play. I don't think it's likely to see play, but I like it. Yeah, we'll give it 2 stars. It's a cool card. Meltan and Melmetal. Metal Link at 30, attach an energy, heavy impact 130, just awful waste of paper card. 1 star. Qfin and Kapuraja. This Pokemon can't be affected by special conditions. That's not... it's a 190 stage 1 Pokemon. Maybe it's fine to just not be affected by special conditions. And then Revenge Stomp. For Metal, colorless. If any of your Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 120 more damage. This is on the cusp of being playable, but needing to put so many energy on a, like, Pokemon that is likely to die in 1 hit, and if not, it's definitely going down in 2 hits, and it's not worth running healing in your deck for the Pokemon. It's not good enough, and it's 1 star, but this is in the right direction of let's make evolution Pokemon better. But it's cool that it could one-shot some things, but even in its optimal state, you're putting 4 energy on a stage 1 Pokemon that you had to find the basic for and then wait a turn to evolve, accelerate 4 energy, hoping it doesn't get knocked out in the process, then meet the requirement of having bench damage, and then swing 240 into the Pokemon, and you don't even one-shot it, then they knock you out, and you need another Pokemon to attack with. So it's on the right road to being a good evolution Pokemon, but it's not, and it just gets 1 star. This Kangaskhan's terrible, and I don't know why they chose it for the pre-release promo. It has Retaliate 30 plus 90 damage if one of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage last turn. We've been doing this attack for like, what, 9 years now, and it used to actually be good at some point, and it just 120 for a Twin Energy does not do anything for you anymore. So yeah, 1 star Kanga. Tauros 1 star, Sentret 1 star, Ferret draw 3 or 90, flip a coin of tails, does nothing, that's 1 star. Dunsparce, this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, but its attack has nothing to do with milling, so you would have to like switch into it, and then Trick Shovel, just no, not good. 1 star. I like the flavor. It was on the, they were on to something, and then it said Ram for 20 damage, so 1 star. Teddy Ursa and Ursaring. 70, discard top card of your opponent's deck, bad. 1 star. 1 star. Lugia 120, return an energy, bad. 1 star. Skitty, draw up, search your deck for an energy and put it in your hand, bad. Captivating Tail, switch your opponent's active Pokemon, the new one's confused, bad, because if you're bringing something up, you want to bring something up that's like has a high retreat cost and they want to get out of there, and you force them to get it out, not something that's going to attack you and they have to flip to see if it can attack. 1 star. Salamence V, I like this card. Swoop Across does 30 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon, so if they don't have Mew down, you can just, it's like buffed Flying Flip. I'm always down for that. And then Heavy Storm 160 for 4. So I give Salamence V average. It's 3 star on its own. And then Salamence V Max I think is also around 3 star. This attack does 40 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Max Wings 240 damage. Can't use that attack next turn. Also powerful colorless energies in this set. By my standards or my guidelines, I think it's an average card and it should see play. I can't really say it'll definitely be present in the metagame and that it should see success. So we're just going to call it 3 stars. Starly. If you played Bird Keeper for free, you can attack and search your deck for any 2 cards. Not good. 1 star. Like, I like the flavor, but 1 star. Staravia, 1 star. Staraptor, 70 damage. You can move as many energy as you want from your Pokemon to other Pokemon. Absolutely terrible. If you wanted your energy somewhere else, you would have just put it there in the first place. 1 star. Ducklet, bad. 1 star. Swanna, if you played Bird Keeper, ignore energy. If you used Bird Keeper, which decks play like 1 or 2 of, and you shouldn't be playing a Bird Keeper based deck, you could do 140 for free on a stage 1 Pokemon, so that's not good. Bunnelby is just a Mad Party attacker for a twin energy, so that can get 2 stars, I guess, because that's what I'm giving to the Mad Party Pokemon. I don't really care about them too much, but I'm sure people will try to play it. But I don't suggest that you do that. 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. Greedent, hit and run 100 and return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. I'm just going to give that 2 stars because something like that always has potential, even though I don't think it will actually do well. 2 stars. Rookidee, discard all Pokemon tools. No, bad. Evolves into Corvisquire and then evolves into Corviknight. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve a Pokemon, you may choose one of your Pokemon and return that Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. I like this, but you probably can't run a Stage 2 Pokemon just as a guaranteed scoop up, even if it's for a tanky Pokemon, because like you're setting up the Stage 2 Pokemon, it's inconsistent. You have to either have the Stage 1 ready when you need the heal, or you have to have Candy and this in your hand when you need the heal, and then you need another Pokemon ready to go in place of that Pokemon you just scooped up and healed, so you need another attacker ready, and it's just a mess. So I like the concept, but it gets a 1 star from me. And we're on to the trainers. It's been a long ride, and I'm glad we got here together. So, Big Parasol, Pokemon Tool card. As long as the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon. Sorry, I'm yawning. I'm recording this at 1 a.m. So, Pokemon is attached to is in the active spot, prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon. So, if this is on your active Pokemon, let's say Dragapult can't put the 5 damage counters on your benched Pokemon, you know, unless they Boss's Order around it, or Fiona around it, or have a Tool Scrapper. So, I don't think this is good. I guess 2 star. It's not complete bulk. It has an obvious use. We'll say 2 star. Billowing Smoke. If this Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage, that player discards any prize cards they would take for the knockout. This is 1 star. It's terrible. It's gimmicky. It's random. Pokemon has to be knocked out by damage. It doesn't do anything proactively on your turn. It barely does anything passively on your opponent's turn. So, no, bad. Bird Keeper, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, draw 3 cards. I am giving this 4 stars. I think it's a really solid supporter card. I always say, like, the draw 3 supporter cards just need a little extra oomph to give them some utility. So I like Bird Keeper. I think it'll be played as like a 1 or 2 of in a ton of decks. It's not like changing the game or anything, but it's really solid. I would give it 3 stars, except I expect it to be involved in a ton of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all the way down deck. So I am going to give it 4 stars. Cape of Toughness. The basic Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 50 HP, except Pokemon GX. I'm giving this card 5 stars. I think it's really great. And I should say I rate the trainer cards just slightly different than the Pokemon, because it's really, really hard to say if a trainer card will have like a driving force in the metagame, but I do think this is a 5-star trainer card, so I am veering off of my guidelines just a little bit for the trainers, but I do think it's a 5-star trainer card. It's just really, really good. It's balanced, but it's super strong for the Pokemon that it works with. It's not like situational, really, because if you're putting it in your deck, you're going to have Pokemon that are the target for it to be attached to. I think it's super strong, really good. Familiar Bell. Search your deck for a Pokemon with the same name as a Pokemon in your discard pile. Reveal it and put it into your hand. I'm going to give it 2 stars. I think it's like, it's usable, but probably not going to be used. It's not complete bulk though, so it gets 2 stars. And the reason that being, some people might ask, like with Quick Ball, you can just turn 1, play Quick Ball as the first card of your game. You play 4 of it. It helps you consistently get the Pokemon you need. Evolution Incense, just play it as turn 2, you need to get your evolution Pokemon. It's always an out to an evolution Pokemon. Familiar Bell can be just a dead card, and you don't want that. Glimwood Tangle, once during each player's turn, after the player flips any coins for an attack, they may ignore all results of those coin flips and flip again. This is probably 2, I'm going to give it 2 stars. I think it'll see play, kind of like the Mad Party thing. I think it'll see play in gimmicky decks that people are trying to play, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's good. I think I might try some things with it. I might try the Toxtricity Mill, but I don't think that necessarily means it's good, giving it 2 stars. Kabu, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 4 cards. If you only have 1 Pokemon in play, draw 8 cards instead. Terrible. I don't like this card at all because it turns into a shuffle draw 4 after basically after turn 1, or unless you're having a really bad game and you're just sending up Pokemon and hoping you top deck something, which you don't build your deck for those kind of suboptimal situations. I think Kabu's a 1 star. I could be wrong, but I think it's a 1 star. I don't see this card being good, especially since you can't play supporters on turn 1. It would be a different story if you could play supporters on turn 1, but you're basically only playing this card to see it on turn 1 going second. So you have 1 Pokemon, and in your starting hand, you either Stellar Wish into this, or you have it in your hand, and that doesn't even mean it's better than Research, because with Research, you could just dump your hand of cards you don't need and draw 7 new cards. So Kabu gets 1 star from me. Old PC, flip 2 coins at both their heads, put a card from your discard pile into your hand. 1 star, very strong effect, but you get a 25% chance at it actually working, so 1 star, garbage. Piers, search your deck for an energy card and a dark Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand and shuffle your deck. I am giving this 4 stars. I think it's really strong to be able to search your deck for any energy card, so special energy included, and a dark Pokemon, something like Crobat V or Eternatus V Max, so it could be even used in non-Eternatus decks that just want to grab a special energy and your Crobat V to draw cards. So Piers, 4 stars from me. Pokemon Breeders Nurturing gets 2 stars just because evolutions aren't very strong, and you could just, play a research and draw 7 cards, and some of them will be evolutions, or play Pokemon Communication, or play Evolution Incense. The card chooses up to 2 of your Pokemon in play, and then you search a card in your deck that evolves from each of those Pokemon and evolve it, but you can't use it to skip evolution rules. Rare Fossil just works with the fossils. I'm just going to give this 1 star bulk because it's just like, it's as good as fossils are. It's literally just like a bulk pre-evolution. That's all that is. Rose, attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon VMAX. If you attached any cards in this way, discard your hand. I think this is probably a 2 star card for now. The card I wanted to pair it with is Gardevoir VMAX. That's not coming out in this set. Even then, I'm not sure if that's definitely, strong enough, and even if that's the way to go to build some VMAX decks. So Rose is going to be kind of a fringe card for me. I love the card, but it's going to get 2 stars from me. And then Rose Tower gets 3 stars from me, actually. So once a turn, that player may draw cards until they have 3 cards in their hand. This doesn't necessarily have to be used with Rose, but it works really well with it. Spike Moth, whenever a player's active Pokemon moves to the bench during their turn, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. This can work to either punish your opponent for switching or playing a deck that makes them switch, or with Spirit Tomb, where you want to damage your own Pokemon. I'm going to give this 3 stars because it can be used in multiple different kinds of decks, and I do expect that it will see play. Struggle Glove. So this is a card that I didn't know we were getting. It's like some kind of gym promo from Japan. It's a Pokemon tool. If the Pokemon this card is attached to has weakness to your opponent's active Pokemon, its attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. I think this is just so cool. I love this idea. Off the top of my head, I recently just found out about this card, so I'm not sure, on the spot, if there's specific Pokemon that I think will benefit from this right as soon as it releases. But I think it's a really cool card. I think it could see play. I'm going to give it 2 stars for now because I like its flavor, I like its potential, but I don't see where it goes right now. Maybe I'm missing some obvious Pokemon that it'll be good for, but I'm going to give it 2 stars for now. Turbo Patch, flip a coin. If heads, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your basic Pokemon that isn't a Pokemon GX. I'm giving this 4 stars. Now, some people hate this card, some people love this card. I tend to really, really like it. It is a flip card. It's not creating any archetypes on its own, but it is boosting things. It'll definitely help Vikavolt V in post-rotation, in my opinion. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think it's a stand-up card. Yellhorn, both active Pokemon are now confused. This is just garbage. 1 star. Heat Fire Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides fire, and this Pokemon gets plus 20 HP. I think I give this 4 stars. I think this is as good as Centiskorch VMAX is, and Centiskorch VMAX. I think it's as good as that card is, and since I think Centiskorch VMAX is 4 stars and will be somewhere between tier 2 and tier 1, I'm going to say Heat Fire Energy is about a 4-star card. Hiding Dark Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides Dark Energy. I think this is a 3-star card. Oh, sorry. The Dark Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. That's important. I think this is a 3-star card. I'm saying that because I don't even think Dark decks necessarily run 4 of this as default. Like, it's definitely debatable if you need 4 of this or you want Capture Energy or something else in place of it, or just more basic energy. And because of that, I think its power, I think that speaks for its power. So I'm giving it 3 stars. Powerful Colorless Energy. Provides colorless. When it's attached to a colorless Pokemon, that Pokemon does 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. I also think this is a 3-star card. It's average. It'll see some play. I don't think it's overly powerful. I don't think it's bulk. I don't think there's any archetypes that it pushes to tier 1 or any tier 1 archetypes that are going to put it into their deck, but I do think it's a solid card. 3 stars. Then we just have full arts, secret rares, rainbows, things of that sort, and all the products of the set. I hope you enjoyed this set review. Let me know what some of your favorite Pokemon are, not even if it's, or out of the set, what some of your favorite cards from the set are, I should say. Not even if it's just the cards you think are going to be the best, just what are some of the cards you're excited to play in your decks, play with, build decks with, things like that. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a like if you liked it. And check out PotownStore.com for all of your PTCGO needs. Make sure you use code CELIO for 5% off. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.